What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
All right, good afternoon and welcome to the 276th episode of the Alfa Insurance Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title, brought to you by georgiaconstructioncareers.com. Today we're going to have two guests. Both are on their bye weeks, and I think they are very intriguing teams to feature. It's going to be North Paulding first, Coach Don Starks, and then Sequoia, James Teeter. North Paulding's off to a great 5-0 start. Sequoia, I believe they're 3-2, and their most recent wins, they beat Cedartown, they beat their rival Etowah, and Cherokee. So they're playing with a lot of confidence. We'll get into it, but let's go ahead and see if we have Coach Starks ready to go. Not yet? Okay, let me make sure. I just texted him a bit ago. Okay, so let's just look at North Paulding right now. They're 5-0, beat Allatoona week 1, big win over East Paulding, who is actually off to a really strong start. They are trying to challenge that really deep region with Hughes, Douglas County, South Paulding. They're trying to vie for a playoff spot. They're 2-0 in region play, I believe, at this point. They beat Kennesaw Mountain, South Paulding, Pope, and then they will play Walton in 2 weeks, or a week from today. And that was a game we highlighted last year. It was one of the most thrilling games we had all season long. It ended up turning out to a 51-49 victory by Walton. You guys know how I feel about Walton, but even in that game, I would not have been upset at all if North Paulding came away with that win, because they played outstanding. It was a game they had an opportunity to win. It's just Walton had the ball last, were able to make a play. But a true outstanding thriller. And then they did really well in their region. They fell to Harrison in the opener 24-21, but then they beat McEachern, Hillgrove, and Marietta and earned the #1 seed. And that's another reason I wanted to talk about North Paulding today, is because we're going to see Marietta tonight against Buford, and I think that's going to be a really intriguing region. It's only 5 teams. We mentioned North Paulding, Harrison, McEachern, Hillgrove, and Marietta. And if you look at that region so far, you got Harrison 5-0, North Paulding 5-0, Hillgrove is 2-3, and then Marietta and McEachern are both 1-4. So you got 5 teams, 4 spots. Last year, I believe it was McEachern on the outside looking in after Harrison came on strong late in the season. And then this year it's been quite the opposite with Harrison, a 5-0 start. Let's see who they played this week. And that game will be at Harrison on October 13th. Harrison's going to play at Pebblebrook tonight. We will be featuring that score on the ticker tonight, and then they're going to open up against McEachern on October 6th ahead of the North Paulding game. So it will be the region opener for North Paulding, and it will be the second region contest for Harrison. Should be a really interesting game. So what has North Paulding done well this season? Well, they've replaced a lot of leadership and seniors on that offense, and they are very young, but they have Tyler Neer at quarterback. He has done what he's been asked to do. He's averaging 242 yards per game. He's got 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, something you expect with a team that is aggressive offensively and airs it out. And then on the ground, they're averaging 190 yards per game. So that was a strength of them last year. They had great balance in their offense, and they have kept that up with Coach Starks, who comes to the school from a successful run in the state of Florida. I believe he got there in 2020. And in that backfield, you have Calvin Scott. He's got 5 touchdowns, 89 yards per game. You got another senior, Jaden Clayton. He's got 4 touchdowns, and he's 70 yards per game. And then you got the junior, Xavier Walker. He's averaging about 50 yards per game. So they've had a lot of guys involved in the rushing game, run by committee. And then in the passing game, a name that we saw last year who was outstanding, Javarius George. He's got 423 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. Then defensively, that was, I wouldn't say a question mark last year, but teams like Walton were able to do a good job passing the ball on them and winning a shootout, a game that had 100 total points. But you've got Ethan Maddox, a senior. He's been phenomenal, averaging 9.5 tackles per game. He's got 9 tackles for loss. The team has 33 tackles for loss through 5 games. And this is the stat that I think is really interesting, 21.5 sacks. So they are getting after it, making it very difficult. They're producing a lot of turnovers. They've caused 7 fumbles so far. They got 3 interceptions and 21 pass defenses. So very interesting. Did we see Coach yet? Not yet. Well, interesting. I texted him the link. All right. And so historically, I mentioned they won the region last year. That was just the second time they won the region in their school's history. The school's only been around since 2008. They also won in 2013 under head coach Scott Jones. That was a year where they made it to the quarterfinals. And what's interesting, they've made the playoffs, I believe, 8 times since that quarterfinals run, but they have not made it past the first round. So they've been a playoff team. They've been doing their thing in 7A, but having a playoff run has been tough. And last year, they earned the number 1 seed, but they had a tough matchup in round 1 against Parkview, a very dangerous number 4 seed. So that's just a tough region to get matched up in. But out of their 9 playoff appearances, they've made it past the first round just twice. It was in 2012 and 2013. First round exits the last 7 times. Last year, they were 7-4. That improved a 4-6 record the previous year and a 2-8 record Coach Stark's first year. And now they're off to this 5-0 start. So they have a chance to have one of the best seasons in terms of wins in school history. Against Walton, though, this is interesting. They've played each of the last 3 seasons, and they are 0-3 all-time against Walton. A 21-14 loss the first time, 45-14, and then the 2-point loss this last year. So they've had some close games. They've always been a tough opponent, and it certainly will be a team to watch. While we're waiting, though, there's another team that I think we need to start paying attention to, and Najee brought it up yesterday on his show, but that's Providence Christian. They've had one of the most dramatic turnaround seasons I think I've ever seen. Their head coach last year was Coach Sturdivant, who's now the head coach at Parkview. now they have John Russ. He was the former offensive coordinator under Jeff Saturday at Hebron, and it is insane how successful this offense has been. They've only played 4 games, and yet they are just 43 points away from setting the school record for points scored. Last year was the school record, 250 points, and they finished 2-8. This year they're 4-0, and they've already scored 207 points. As I said, it's the most dramatic turnaround I've seen. Their 4 wins is the school record. Their best ever season was 2018 with a 4-6 finish. They've never made the playoffs before. And then take a look at last year's results compared to this year. So they opened the season last year, 35-0 loss to St. Francis. This year, they won 53-15. So that's a 50-point difference right there. Hebron Christian, last year, they lost 48-9. This year, they did not play Hebron. They played Whitfield instead, but they lost that one 35-7 last year. This year, 32-10. They beat Riverside last year handedly, beat them again this year, 51-13. And then Athens Christian, last year they won 36-19. This year they won 71-0. They are going to be, who do they play next? Yeah, they're off on a bye this week. Then they're going to play Kings Ridge in their final non-region. And then it will be interesting to see what they do in Region 8. Last year they got swept. That's Athens Academy, Union County, Fellowship Christian, East Jackson, and Banks County. They did have some close games, though. The Union County game was a touchdown. East Jackson was a touchdown difference. Banks County loss was a 1-point difference. So I expect them to definitely be a playoff team. The big test will be against Fellowship Christian, who is ranked number 6 at this point. But nonetheless, that is quite a start. And that region is going to be really exciting. You got Banks County's at 4-0, East Jackson 4-0, Providence Christian 4-1, and then 1 loss apiece for Union County and Fellowship Christian. So definitely a team to put on the radar. You look at how they've been successful. They returned their quarterback. They were young last year. They lost a lot of close games, as I said, but they've already matched their win total, and certainly they've got some big games ahead of them. All right, so we'll talk a little bit more about North Paulding in a second, but I'm just going to turn to 4A because there's some interesting games to watch this week. The one thing I've noticed about 4A this year is they've had a lot of success outside of the classification, even more so than usual. There's some years where you don't see that. You don't see Benedictine getting the win over Ware. You don't see Bainbridge splitting its success when it's playing. I think they play 7 ranked teams in a row to open their season. Sometimes they're 1-4 or 2-3, but this year they're getting the wins. And I think I can actually look this up on what their record is outside of the classification. One sec. Here we go. All right, so outside of Class 4A, Region 6 is 17-10. Region 7 is 17-10. And another big win, you had Central Carroll beating McIntosh, who's been really good this year. Region 3, that's the one with Benedictine, New Hampstead, Wayne County. They are 17-9 outside the classification. Region 2, that's Perry, Spalding, Baldwin. They're 19-9. So overall, definitely a year where 4A has done a great job in this non-region schedule. So I'm going to pull up my blog real quick. One sec. Here we go. All right, so I think there's a total of 32 games in 4A this week. Yep. There are going to be just 8 region games, though. And then 4 teams that are undefeated are off on a bye this week. That's Westside Macon, Benedictine, Holy Innocents, and Central Carroll. But you're going to have the other undefeated teams will be in action. You got Spalding, Burke County, Troop, and then 3 Region 8 teams that are all undefeated: North Hall, East Forsyth, and North Oconee. So in Region 1, Westover, they're going to play Northside Columbus. I believe that was last night. I'll pull that up in a second. Then they're going to play Bainbridge to open the region. You got Bainbridge playing Ware County tonight. We'll see how Bainbridge does against them. We already saw what Benedictine was able to do. And then Cairo has won 4 straight since dropping their season opener to Thomas County Central. They're going to play Salem, and then they're going to open up region play against Shaw. And then Hardaway, they are off to a tough 0-5 start, but they're going to play Peach County tonight, who is 0-4. So I think that will be a big game for one of those teams, getting a much-needed win. Peach County, they probably are the favorite heading into it, but 0-5 against 0-4, that is going to be a game that certainly will benefit the victor. All right, in Region 2, let's see, Howard had a really strong win last week, 49-0 over Pike County. They're going to play Perry. That will be a big region game. Spalding host Baldwin. That's number 8 Spalding versus number 10 Baldwin, a top 10 region matchup in 2. And then West Lawrence is going to play Griffin, and they're coming off a big 33-27 win over Class A Division 1 number 4 ranked Bleckley County. In Region 3, Wayne County had a 31-13 win over Statesboro last week, and now number 7 ranked Burke County will play Statesboro. They're 4-0, so it'll be a good opportunity to see how they can stack up against a common opponent. Wayne County is now going to play Jenkins, and then you got Southeast Bullock against Hephzibah. In Region 4, this is going to be a crucial region matchup between LaGrange and Whitewater. LaGrange lost to Stars Mill last week, and Whitewater lost to Troop. So both those teams are 0-1 in the region. That'll be a big game with playoff implications. And then the 2 teams that beat them, Stars Mill and Troop, are now going to square off. A huge test for Stars Mill. Troop, we've mentioned they have the best defense in 4A this year, and offensively they're lighting it up as well with a 32.8 average margin of victory. I think that was a pretty close game last year. And then North Clayton, they're the only team that's already played 2 region games. They beat Fayette County and Riverdale, and now they're going to play Trinity Christian. A big opportunity for North Clayton as well as Trinity Christian, who is 1-0 after a win over Riverdale last week. All right, in Region 5, just 2 of the 8 teams are playing. The rest are on a bye. It's going to be non-region action. You got Lovett playing Fellowship Christian. Should be an outstanding game. Lovett's looking to extend its win streak to 3 straight after starting the season 0-2. And then Mount Zion Jonesboro is playing Upson Lee. Coach Tita, ready?
Yeah, and then you got a question from the comment too. Somebody got the question.
Okay, let's do the question, and then we'll go to a break. What's the question?
So it said, who do you have coming out on top in Region 6 and 6A? It says this year it's a lot better. It's Creekview, Rowe, and Sequoia won 3 straight games. So if you had to put your nail on it, who would you have coming out on top?
Well, last year that was the most lopsided region in the state with Rome. I think it was a 45 average margin of victory. I think it'll be tough for Rome to come out of there with more than one loss. I'd have to go with Rome, but the reason I have Sequoia on is because I do think that they probably are going to be the biggest challenger. But I'd go with Rome at this point. But yeah, let's go ahead. We'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side with Coach Teeter. Maybe he'll change my mind.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me. Can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands, improper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
All right, welcome back. So let's go ahead and get into it with Coach James Teeter and Sequoia. Talk about the Chiefs' latest win streak and then what to expect from them moving forward in region after this bye. Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Doing great. Thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, I've been really impressed with the way your team has responded. You've played some big kind of regional rivals. You had a big win to open up region play. Let's talk about what you've seen through these first 5 games, just how they've responded just after the 0-2 start.
I've seen a lot of growth. The first 2 opponents we had were pretty tough, but I've seen a lot of growth out of our players. I think our kids have handled things pretty well. We were kind of down this same road last year and responded in a good manner. I thought the game the other night was really well. We played well pretty much all 3 phases of the game. So right now we're really pleased with our kids, and we hope that things continue.
For sure. And you guys came to the Georgia High School Football Media Day, and out of all the teams, I really got a sense that your players, they have confidence, but they also have a chip on their shoulder. And they were telling us, they're like, if you come to play us this year and you just expect to win, we're gonna give it to you. We're gonna come out and compete. So what have you noticed just with the attitude with the players this season, just their will to win and just how motivated they are?
I think they're highly motivated. I think they've, shown all season long that regardless of what the score is and regardless of what the outcome may be, they're going to fight to the end. Pretty much as an evidence of our last 2 to 3 wins. Our first 2 wins were in the last minute, so they found a way to fight their way back into it. I think they've got each game they've grown in confidence in their abilities and in what we do. I think they really trust in what the coaches are telling them. So I think it's a good asset for us right now. Our kids really believe in themselves, and they believe in the program, and believe in everything we're doing.
And then offensively, have you guys felt that you have a pretty good balance this year that maybe has improved in recent seasons, just the ability to just have the tough yards on the ground and also the skill players to stretch the field?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty well known. We've kind of changed, went from the regular wing tee to more of a shotgun wing tee. Throwing a lot better this year than we have in the past, although right now we're still not running it as well as I think we should. That just being from we're pretty much a run mentality. I like where we're at. I like what we're doing. I just wish we could find a way to figure out the run stuff and run a little bit better. But we've got great athletes in all the areas. I think what we're doing is causing some problems for people, but we still have room to grow. We still have room to get better.
Yep. And so what is the kind of goal during this bye week? You had the successful run, just gearing up for this region play, and then what are the goals this year coming out of this tough region?
Goals for this week were just to kind of take a step back, focus on us, focus on some things that we need to fix, both on offense and defense, and then as the week ended, prepare a little bit for the upcoming game with River Ridge. The goals for the season are pretty much to, make a run like everybody else and try to get into this region. Hold on one second, my dog's going crazy.
No problem.
Try to make a run at the region. Go try to get things to work. I don't know if you had me or not.
It broke up a little bit, but I wanted to ask you just about the defense. What have you seen from them? Just the attitude coming up big down the stretch in these games, just really just taking advantage of their opportunities when they're out there on the field.
Our defense coordinator, Brent Buddy, has done a great job. He's had to replace a lot of people. And in doing that, it's taken, the first couple games to kind of get our feet on the ground. But I thought the last few weeks, they've really handled things. They shut down an Etowah offense last week that was pretty talented. Their quarterback is probably the best kid we've faced all year. And they've figured out a way to kind of slow him down. And I just, it kind of gets a little tougher as every game goes on. River Ridge has got their challenges. Creekview and Rome and the rest of them all have their challenges. But I think Brent has done a great job of getting his kids to believe in the system.
For sure. And then what have you seen just with River Ridge? That's your next opponent, just what they've been able to do this season. You mentioned Etowah, they were lighting it up on the scoreboard, but just in terms of River Ridge, they're obviously going to be battle tested, but what do you expect in that one?
A little bit of the same that we've had against Etowah and against Cherokee. Offensively, they're very good. They've got a quarterback that throws it really well, runs it really well, got a good running back. Defensively, they're just very well coached. They're going to be in the areas they need to be in. They're going to do their assignments. They're not going to miss a line. So our challenges for us offensively is try to figure out a way to move the ball on them. Defensively, probably the best thing for our defense is what we've done the last 2 weeks is we've eaten up clock on offense, keep the opponents off the field. And that'll be kind of the things we need to do again this week to help Brent out a little bit on defense. But it's just, getting after him a little bit and getting after their offense a little bit and forcing them to hopefully make some turnover things and get a situation where we can take advantage of it.
Yep. And then on defense, have you seen an area that stands out as a strength, whether it's going out there, trying to stop the run, make the opponents kind of one-dimensional? Like, do you feel like your defense is more geared to stop the run, stop the pass, or just overall, do you feel good about it?
I feel good about it, all the areas of it. I think our strength right now is our inside backers and our secondary, since we have those people returning from a year ago. I thought they've done a great job of putting people in consistency, blitzing and getting after him a little bit and getting them in situations where long yardage, and we've taken advantage of that. But I think for the most part, our secondary and our linebackers have kind of led the way for us to be really productive.
Yep. And what is the benefit of, this current win streak? Looks like these were all just great football games for starters, but also games where you guys really had to close it out and kind of will yourself to victory, execute down the stretch. What's the benefit of playing close games like that early in the season?
I think it gets you ready for the region play. I think that's, people asked last year kind of why we picked the schedule we have. The first 3 games are really, really tough, and I think it gets us set up for the region. This region to me is very competitive with, everybody thinks Rome is the main number 1 team, but I think the rest of the teams in the region are very well coached and very good also. That what we went through the last few weeks is only getting us ready for the tough challenge that's up ahead.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. look at a team like Creekview. I mean, they're always dangerous. Anyone that's just chalking it up to Rome, it's there's some pretty storied programs in there. But so you mentioned the Rome game. They obviously won the region last year. What do you expect, though, just with your team, just being able to play a top 10 matchup like that, and just how motivated they are with that chip on their shoulder this year to prove that they can compete?
I think we'll show up and compete. We got to worry about River Ridge before we can get to Rome. That's the one after. Because for us, what we've kind of found out in this region, each week is so important. What you do this week kind of helps you out for the following week and what happens. And so when we get to Rome, it'll be a tough challenge, and our kids will be up to it, and they'll be willing to fight for it. Hopefully we're in a situation where that means a lot more that week than what it is right now. We just got to find a way to beat River Ridge and play with them, because if you can win that one, you picture yourself in a pretty good situation of fighting for one of the top 4 spots. But we're just going to take it right now and worry about the game that's at hand, and then we'll focus on Rome when we get there.
And you were talking about controlling the clock, time of possession. That's obviously a huge part of your success. But, I mean, who on the offensive line has really just impressed you and been a reliable force to run behind?
Brady Curl at tackle, our center, Dimitri Morris at center. And then our guards, Carter Leggetti, Asher Martineau, have done a great job. We've had to piece some things together the last few weeks because we had some people injured. And I thought the young people that have come in, the subs, have done a great job in Colton Bass, Ken Ogundele, and Brody Craig. And then our starter we'll finally get back this coming week is Alex Brewer. All those guys together have done a great job, including our tight end, Chris Jordan.
Gotcha. And then it looks like, so River Ridge is off this week also. Any plans tonight on scouting some future opponents, or just going to enjoy the Friday night off and get ready for next week?
No, we'll be heading over to Altoona. Altoona plays Rome because our entire county's off this week. So the only game in our region is Rome-Altoona. So we'll go over and scout them, seeing that Rome's after River Ridge. And then, in order to just move up the scale a little bit on the rankings of the top 4 in the region, we'll have to figure out a way to defeat Altoona also. I know it seems like they're having a rough year, but they were in the same situation last year and come out and got number 2. So we just want to get an eye on them and kind of see how they're doing also.
That's right. Yeah, they started last year. I think it might have been 0-5, and then next thing you know, they're shutting out all these opponents and making a run. So that should be a great game. I think we are highlighting that one. But Coach Teeter, I really appreciate you coming on. Let you enjoy the rest of your Friday off. Have fun scouting this game tonight, and we'll have to keep touch later on this season.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. All right. So there goes Sequoia. Some big region matchups. Their 2 region losses last year, Alatoona and Rome. But I think it's a lot different this year. Watch out for teams like Creekview. Woodstock's gotten better. I know Etowah, after dropping that one to Sequoia last week, they're going to be motivated to shake things up. So should be interesting how that plays out for sure. But I want to thank Coach Teeter for coming on. All right, let's get back to 4A real quick. I think just 2 regions left. So, all right, in Region 6, no in-region games, but Stevenson and Tucker, I'm interested in this matchup. Tucker opened the year, I think they had a massive win over Miller Grove, and we've seen Miller Grove since then. They've looked outstanding. And so how will Stevenson match up against the Tigers? That should be a very interesting one. And then they're going to have to turn around and open up region action on Thursday with Hapeville Charter. So that's Stevenson. All right, in Region 7, Cedartown, they're going to play Class 5A number 10 ranked Dalton. They're trying to get back on track after some close losses, including the one to Sequoia. All right, and then in Region 8, these are the ones that we will be paying attention to. Cherokee Bluff against North Hall. It's a region matchup. East Hall against Cedar Shoals. And then North Oconee against Chestatee. You also have Walnut Grove against East Forsyth. Those are all region matchups. East Forsyth, the new school, they have an opportunity to improve to 4-0, and they win that one. And I don't want to say it too early, but they'd be on track to make the playoffs for the first time in school history. That'd be very exciting. Last year, it looked like they were on track to do it, and then they lost some really close heartbreakers that kept them on the outside. Region 8 is the largest region in all of 4A, so it's going to be tough, but I think that they're going to make the playoffs this year. They have been really solid. Let's just look at it real quick. All right, so East Forsyth, they're 3-0, 1-0 in the region. They beat Cedar Shoals 35-13 to get that region victory. They've also beaten Seconder and Johnson Gainesville. Last year they actually finished 6-4. They were 4-4 in the region, but they were in a tie with, sorry, not a tie. They finished one game back on Cedar Shoals and missed out on the playoffs. But as we just mentioned, this year they've got the tiebreaker on Cedar Shoals because they just picked up that win. So tonight's a huge game for them against Walnut Grove. Walnut Grove has struggled. They're 0-2 in the region, but a huge opportunity nonetheless. All right. I'm going to go over my top 30 games I'm watching tonight. These will be updated on the scoreboard. If you watch our broadcast, we're going to have a halftime show with live score updates. We won't just read off the scores. We'll be paying attention on kind of how the first half played out. Did a team, like we saw last week, build a big lead like Carver Columbus, and then Brookwood comes back and has an incredible rally? We'll be paying close attention. But here we go. So Baldwin at Spalding. That is a nice top 10 matchup in 4A. Spalding's 4-0. Baldwin is, I think, 3-1, but they've had some huge wins. I think they were the first team to earn a victory over Peach County. That put them in consideration for the rankings, and they've just been winning ever since. Blessed Trinity at Sprayberry. Let's see how the Titans bounce back after falling for the first time this season to Marist last week. It's going to be a region opener. Sprayberry was off to a great start. They had a tough outing against Kell, their rival that has had their number recently, but they've been talented nonetheless. That should be a good matchup. We'll be watching that one. All right, Brunswick at Glen Academy. That is obviously a rivalry. The two neighboring schools, tons of history there, but also just a big opportunity for Glen Academy. Brunswick's going to come in as a slight favorite. I think they're ranked around number 10 in the polls, but that should be just a tremendous matchup right there. Calvary Day at Savannah Christian, one of the biggest games this week. I think it's number 1, Calvary Day. They've ascended to number 1 in some of the 3A polls. Might be at number 2 in some, but against Savannah Christian, a huge matchup, star-powered. I think it's very intriguing. Calvary Day made it to the semis last year. They got Jake Merklinger, a 4-year starter at quarterback. You got some of the best prospects in the nation on that Savannah Christian defense. Playmakers are going to be all over the place, and you know the effort's going to be tremendous from both teams. I think that's going to be a classic for sure. All right, Carrollton at Hillgrove. Hillgrove has played its opponents very tough this season. We'll see if Carrollton can keep rolling. They got Kamari Farmer in that backfield that's been taking a lot of carries. We'll see if Carrollton decides to put it in Juju's hands this game, or if they're going to keep using that run game and then getting Caleb Odom involved. All right, Cedartown at Dalton. I think this is a big test for Dalton. They've been outstanding this year. They're undefeated. They're getting ready to head into region play with your Cartersville, Calhoun, Cass, and I'm always missing one, Hiram. And then this is just a big opportunity to make another statement, get a nice home win over Cedartown, and I believe Dalton has cracked the top 10 in most polls. I think they're number 10 in mine. All right, you got Cedar Grove at Colquitt County. Big time matchup. Cedar Grove has played, as we said, one of the most difficult schedules for any team anywhere in the country. And they played Mill Creek last week. Mill Creek actually was able to push a running clock, something you don't see often. And so how will Colquitt County pair up against Cedar Grove? And that's going to be at Colquitt County. So another just daunting test for Cedar Grove, but we will see. All right, Clark Central at Jefferson. Jefferson has been just very dangerous this season. It's not just Sammy Brown. They're lighting up the scoreboard. They look way better this year than they did last year, as good as they were. They crushed at Cody County. They've been absolutely dominating. And then Clark Central was a team that had to claw its way into the playoffs last year. They lost a lot of games they felt they could have won, but Coach Perno has them off to a tremendous start, and this is the signature win they'll be looking for. We will see if they can get that victory and slow down the Dragons. All right, Coffee at Richmond Hill. Coffee is in 5A. You got Richmond Hill in 7A. Good South Georgia matchup. And a good test for Coffee. All right, Collins Hill at Westlake. I'm very interested in this one. Westlake had a very notable result last week. Newton ran all over them and got the big victory that propelled Newton into the polls. And then Collins Hill, they've played a really tough schedule. They did get the win over Brookwood, but they've also lost a bunch of close ones. We will see how Collins Hill matches up against Westlake. I think it'll be a great game. All right, Douglas County at Hughes. Region battle, top 10 matchup. Can Douglas County become the first team in 6A to serve Hughes a loss in about 3 years? That's the big question. And will Sire Hardaway have his big moment? And then thinking this matchup is just about trying to slow down that Hughes offense. They've been running the ball exceptionally well this season. All right, East Coweta at Lambert. Big matchup between unbeatens. Should be a very interesting matchup. I've been extremely impressed with East Coweta. They have a bunch of big wins on their resume, including the Sandy Creek win where they stifled their extremely dangerous running attack. So the East Coweta defense has been phenomenal, but Lambert, they're so creative with their play calling and just a tough football team. All right, East Forsyth at Walnut Grove. We talked about that one. The Broncos have a chance to move to 4-0 and kind of get a key win that would help them make the playoffs for the first time. All right, East Side at Flowery Branch. Flowery Branch, they've been doing really well this season. East Side's coming off a tough loss to Ola. We'll see if Flowery Branch can continue to stack up those wins. All right, Gilmer at Wesleyan. Coach Paul Standard at Gilmer. Can he go on the road and get a big win over Wesleyan? We saw Gilmer was able to burst to the scene last year and do just that. All right, Harrison at Pebblebrook. Harrison undefeated. They're in that region with Marietta, who we're going to see tonight. They're in that region with McEachern, with North Paulding. So this is a big opportunity for them. You got Houston County at Warner Robins. Will Houston County handle business? Will Warner Robins actually play well in the first half? Their last 2 wins, they've had to have massive comebacks. So I don't think you can come out slow against Houston County. That's a big test for them. I think I'm going with Houston County. Although you never know, Warner Robins has been very exciting. They've had some big-time comebacks. All right, Lovett at Fellowship Christian. Should be a tremendous matchup. Lowndes at Grayson. It's a game that I know Coach All from North Atlanta, he's going to be at that one. It's a big-time 7-8 clash right there. Grayson, we know they had a bitter taste in their mouth after falling in their opener to Walton. And I think a win over Lowndes in a televised matchup, that would set the Rams on fire. All right. Macon County at Schley County. That is, I believe, number 2 versus number 1 down in Class A Division 2. Good matchup to watch. A potential, it could be a potential playoff matchup later on, if not a state championship matchup. All right, Meadow Creek at Peachtree Ridge. Can Peachtree Ridge handle business, continue to stay undefeated, and set itself up for a big region stretch against Norcross, North Gwinnett, and eventually crack into that top 10. All right, Mill Creek at Parkview. I have previewed that one extensively. Mill Creek is looking to become the first team since Lowndes in the early 2000s to ever start 3-0 against Parkview. That's how good Parkview's been. Not a lot of teams have ever had their number like Mill Creek has. I think a big win on the road would definitely send a message and validate Mill Creek's current placement in the rankings. All right, Mount Vernon at Athens Academy. I think Mount Vernon is slowly becoming a team that should be considered as a state championship contender. They've been tremendous this year. North Hall at Cherokee Bluff. Cherokee Bluff's coming off a big region victory last week. They had a tough loss to Madison County, but they're going to be fighting for their playoff chances tonight. You got North Cobb at Milton. That's always a phenomenal matchup. We'll see who comes out of that one. Perry at Howard. South Gwinnett at Norcross. Stars Mill at Troop. Ware County at Bainbridge, and then Wheeler at Campbell. Those are 30 games I'm going to be watching very closely tonight. So let's go ahead. We'll take one more break, and we'll be back on the other side to close out the show.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
All right, welcome back. So let's close it out with a few more interesting storylines to watch for tonight. So we were talking about North Paulding to open the show. They've got a sophomore quarterback, Tyler Neer, and he is currently leading 7A in passing with 1,212 yards. However, there is another sophomore close behind him. That's Darnell Kelly, second place in 7A in passing. Well, North Paulding is off this week. Peachtree Ridge plays Meadow Creek. So I think a big performance from Kelly, a win over Meadow Creek, and then being at the top of 7A in passing is, at this point, the likely result of what's going to happen tonight. And so that's just huge. With all these great quarterbacks, that's big time. All right, let's look at 6A, though. Who is the current leader in passing in all of 6A? That's Sire Hardaway, Douglas County, 1,056 yards. We already talked about their opportunity tonight against Hughes. And then close behind him by about 150 yards, you have Antoine Hill in Houston County. He'll be going up against Warner Robins tonight. Aaron Philo's at the top of the entire state right now in Class A Division I, 1,520 yards. Just crazy numbers once again this season. And then you also have Northwest Whitfield's quarterback Gavin Nichols, 1,305 yards. But I think Darnell Kelly, the fact that some of these other teams are going to be on the bye, he's playing a Meadow Creek team that has given up some points. They've been lighting it up. It's a big opportunity for him to move even higher on those standings. And then let's see real quick. The latest national polls, these are relevant, of course, because we're going to see Buford tonight. Can they move even higher? Currently, they're number 6 in the Cal Preps top 100. The other teams in the state that are on that list, you got Mill Creek at number 18, Walton at number 19, Hughes at number 25, and then also cracking the top 100, Colquitt, Carrollton, Parkview, Thomas County Central, Benedictine, Newton at 87. That's big time. And then Gainesville. So obviously the Mill Creek and Parkview game is going to impact the rankings. So is Hughes, Douglas County. And then Buford's game tonight will have an impact as well. USA Today got 4 teams in that top 25. Buford, Mill Creek, Colquitt, and Walton. The Max Preps has Buford, Colquitt, and Walton. That's the highest Walton is in any of those at number 15. And then, let's see, High School Football America has got Buford at 8. The Sports Illustrated has Buford at number 4. Colquitt at 12. Mill Creek 14. Hughes at 18. No Walton in the Sports Illustrated one. And then Blue Star Media, Buford 6, Colquitt 14, Mill Creek 15, Walton 16. So this game will have the highest ranked team in the country out of Georgia in it. And you'll get an opportunity to see up close Dylan Raiola. I know Rusty and Brandon, they've been covering the recruiting scene for a long time, but also these players specifically. So any college football fans watching the game tonight, you're going to get great insight. I think we're going to have multiple college coaches in attendance. It's going to be crazy on the sidelines, and I am definitely looking forward to seeing this one. It comes with great interest, not only to see what Buford's going to look like heading into its region schedule. They've obviously got big matchups coming up with Mill Creek, all these other Gwinnett powerhouses, but then also Marietta. They're going to have to play North Paulding. They're going to have to play Harrison. They're going to have to play Hillgrove, McEachern. They came on strong late last year. Let's just see. This is a big test. It's no secret that they set themselves up with a very challenging schedule, and we will see how they hold up. But it should be a great one. We'll be there live. We have the links on our social media. You can go and, I think our Twitter, our Facebook, it's on the sidebar on scoreatl.com. We'll have all that coverage there and more. But tune in. We'll have the halftime show, post-game, players of the game, coaching interviews, and Rusty and Brandon in the booth. Should be outstanding. But thank you so much. Hope everyone has a good weekend.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
your thing. We've got you covered.
I'm probably going to find that LED.